Hello everyone, this is TVC News at 7. We'll begin this hour in Kaduna, where the state government has imposed a 24-hour curfew on Kaura and Jema local government area in the state. And this is coming hours after terrorists attacked Kagoro Chiefdom in Kaura local government area, killing at least 13 villagers while several properties were destroyed. Samuel Laruwan, Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, announced this in a statement earlier today. The commissioner said the measure became necessary following advice from security agencies, which is aimed at assisting them to stabilize the situation in the areas, save lives and property, and enable the restoration of law and order. Well, let's talk now to TVC's Lupe Assam, who has been monitoring development in Kaduna State. Lupe, can we confirm now the nature of this attack and the number of people that have been killed?
Well, good evening. Thank you for having me. Basically, at the moment, we can't confirm. We don't have confirmations as to the actual number of persons who were kidnapped. The figures are quite conflicting. Earlier, we heard that 13 persons were killed. And then we still heard from some residents in the area that they had gathered at least 25 corpses, as at the time we had that communication with them. But for the security agencies and for the Kaduna State government, we don't have any particular figure yet as to regarding the casualties that were recorded.
What form of security response are people in these communities getting, particularly as the 24-hour curfew has now begun?
Well, of course, tension was brewing. There was tension in the place some hours after the attack took place. That's talking this morning, and so the Kaduna State government had to respond swiftly to ensure that law and order there's law and order is restored to the area. So we heard that schools in the area began closing as soon as they got reports that that community was attacked. So that's what's happening. Schools in the areas are being shut down. Activities in the area were shut down before the Kaduna State government imposed that curfew. And as I'm talking to you, there is currently a security meeting going on now. That meeting has been on for hours between the Kaduna State government, that's talking the Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs, the chairman of the two local governments involved, security operatives, that's talking the Operation Safe Haven commandant, the police operatives in that place. They have been in a security meeting trying to come up with the best response to put an end to this sad situation. So that's what we know for now regarding security measures being put in place by the Kaduna State government. But what we know also is that the residents will remain in their homes for now, as the curfew has been imposed in those areas, but we don't know for how long this curfew would last.
Lupe Assam live for us in Kaduna. Keep us posted with updates on this matter. Well, it was rumored that he was killed by airstrikes in Mate area of Borno State, but the death of the ISWAP leader, Sani Shuwaram, is yet to be officially confirmed by the military authorities. And this is just as the Nigerian Air Force intensifies strikes in the Lake Chad general area. Sifon Nessian reports.
It was first published by this online news platform that the ISWAP leader might have been killed after an airstrike in the Marte axis. PR Nigeria reported that Super Tucano jets and other aircraft of the Nigerian Air Force executed multiple bombardments in the axis where Sani Shuwaram's camps were located. But the death of the ISWAP leader remains officially unconfirmed, even though the online news platform reported that a highly placed intelligence source corroborated his death. In a widely published response, the spokesman for the Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Edward Gabquet, said, quote, "I cannot confirm the death of any leaders or terrorists. We don't want to be dragged into making any statement or confirmation based on rumors or hearsay," end of quote. Sources within the military say the Nigerian Air Force had intensified strikes on the islands in the Lake Chad area where the ISWAP leaders' camps were located, killing several fighters. But it is as yet unclear if Sani Shuwaram was one of them.
the best thing would be to use intelligence, and intelligence can come in the form of both technical as well as human. In this instance, there are individuals that are operating within the area that have good contacts with the group, upon which the Nigerian security forces can have best intelligence from them that would confirm whether that person is still alive or not. So it appears that that is the most likely route that would allow for building of confidence.
We gathered that efforts are on to identify those killed by the airstrikes. According to experts, it may take days, weeks, or even months to confirm the death of the ISWAP leader. Sifon Asian, TVC News, Abuja.
In Borno State, more involvement of civil society organizations and the private sector in government decision-making is one way of bringing strong development and durable solution to the challenges facing the country. That was among views shared by stakeholders during a one-day consultative meeting organized by the Northeast Development Commission on arriving at a sustainable stabilization development plan for the region. TVC News' Jesse Tafida reports.
The Northeast Development Commission is the body responsible bringing to life a region that has suffered 12-year insurgency. The commission has endeavored to restore livelihoods of victims of the insurgency, and it is now making efforts to sustain its intervention. Today, the NEDC is meeting with key stakeholders to draw a development plan on stabilizing the Northeast region.
The essence of having these diverse stakeholders under one roof here, therefore, is harness the individual and collective input to enrich the process and align the NEDC's policy of inclusiveness and bottom-up approach.
The minister is proud, as a supervising minister, to see that NEDC has hit the ground running, even before the finalization of this plan.
One of the topmost catalysts for boosters of security is getting employment for the youth. So the master plan is going to focus on employment.
Stakeholders at this meeting see the gathering as a step in the right direction towards bringing to life social and basic amenities to victims of insurgency.
I would like to urge the Commission to also look into the possibility of complementing government efforts in developing and implementing viable and workable strategies on how best to address the current challenges.
I want to use this opportunity to call on the NDRC to continue opening its doors for a robust communication channel with the community
in terms of providing the necessary security, which we will continue to give.
This interactive session between the NEDC and government, religious and traditional leaders, CSOs and security agencies is key towards ensuring the beginning of a fruitful journey and success to sustainable development in the region. This consultative meeting between the Northeast Development Commission, Borno State Government and other key stakeholders is to draw out plans on how best to bring about durable solution to a region that has suffered 12 years Boko Haram insurgency. Jesse Tafida, TVC News, Maiduguri.
In other news, the oil spill that occurred on the wellhead in OML 150 affecting 9 communities in Sapele and Ope Council areas of Delta State has been linked to equipment failure. The people in that community are now calling on government to prevail on the oil company to alleviate the losses. This call is coming more than a month after the incident. Ikena Mechi reports.
Waiting here for the arrival of the representatives of the regulatory agencies and the oil company are members of the communities in Okbe and Sapele local government areas affected by the crude oil spill. After more than 5 hours, the team arrived. The joint investigation team had a brief meeting with members of the affected communities over what might have caused the spill. Though the team declined to speak to journalists on the outcome of the investigation, the affected communities are quick to reveal the finding of the team.
From the investigation so far, it is very, very obvious that the cause of this spillage is as a result of equipment failure on the part of the colliery wellhead. So that is the cause of the oil spillage.
Meanwhile, the people of the affected communities are still appealing for aids from relevant agencies as the spill has damaged their source of livelihood.
Since last month, February 2022, we have there's no water from that community, and the water is the source of our livelihood. That's water we drank. Up till now, there's no water, no relief material, nothing whatsoever. So I want to please beg the federal government to come to our aid of rescue. That they should bring relief material to clean the rivers and do the needful in paying compensation. Purification created in the waterways. You can see it that all of these vegetations are stained with crude oil, and the impact of it is that there will be dieback of all this vegetation, and then water has been polluted, implying that the people may need to now go and source for alternative water. This is where they use for their drinking. This is what they use for their domestic activities.
So we are calling on the government to intervene so that they should come and attend to the issue.
Now that the investigation visit is done, next is to know the commensurate actions to compensate the communities and save the environment from further degradation. Ikenna Amechi, TVC News, Saple, Delta State.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it has granted administrative bail to the immediate past governor of Anambra State, William Obiano. That's according to EFCC Chairman Abdulrasheed Bawa. Mr. Bawa said the former governor was cooperating with the commission to perfect the bail conditions, but revealed that Mr. Obiano is still in EFCC custody. According to him, there was nothing political about the former governor's arrest. Mr. Obiano was arrested on Thursday at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, while trying to board a flight to Texas, United States. The FCC had in November last year placed the former governor on a watch list. He was arrested for misappropriating 5 billion naira Shuopi and 37 billion naira security vote funds, which was withdrawn in cash. Part of the funds was also allegedly diverted to finance political activities in the state. Meanwhile, a federal high court sitting in Abuja has struck out a motion on notice filed by Ebonyi State Governor David Umahi, seeking the stay of execution of a judgment removing him from office. Justice Enyageko struck out the motion earlier today following the withdrawal of the case by the plaintiffs in the suit. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Chukwuma Ume, who represented Governor Umahi and his deputy Kelechi Igwe, informed the court of the new development. The decision by both men, according to the lawyer, is hinged on the fact that they have now approached the Court of Appeal Abuja Division to reverse the March 8th decision of the court, which removed them from office to ensure they are reinstated. In a short ruling, Justice Enyang struck out the motion, with the focus now turned to the appellate court in the quest to reinstate the sacked governor and his deputy. Also, the Federal High Court in Abuja has nullified the candidacy of 20 members of the Cross River State House of Assembly that defected from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress. Justice Taiwo in a judgment held that the lawmakers, having abandoned the political party that sponsored them to power, ought to vacate their seats. The People's Democratic Party had instituted a suit against the lawmakers over their defection to APC. Away from the court now, today is World Down Syndrome Day, and this day is set aside to promote public awareness. In Lagos, stakeholders from a foundation are calling for more opportunities to be given to persons with Down syndrome. Inoluwa Popola reports.
Parenting has never been a walk in the park. With its ups and downs varying from families, some might be more challenging than the other, especially for children with Down syndrome. Many parents typically experience shock, sadness, and fear over the uncertainty of raising a child with intellectual and developmental disabilities. For Favor and Solomon, their resilience to becoming someone great is bigger than their disabilities.
Show myself about my work, my job, and makeup artist and Taigere. See me, I'm very happy today.
I want to be the picture about bossing, power, change, to go and vote with a card.
While this awareness has been on since 2011, this group of people have made it their mantra to advocate for inclusion.
Talk to them the way you will talk to your child. Talk to them the way you will talk to your grown adult child also. The world is large. They make up the society also. Putting them aside or discriminating them, they're not part of the society, is not the best.
So self-advocacy has gone a long way in ensuring persons with Down syndrome are seen and people are aware of their skills and their potentials and what they can do. Also, at the foundation, Down Syndrome Foundation Nigeria, we have started something. We started employing them ourselves. So by the time we employ them, we put them on our payroll, and others, they see that these people are actually employable.
The group say government also has a role to play in making life better for the children living with Down syndrome.
We believe that ability is in disability. So everybody that is living with disability is carried along in all our affairs, both in employment, in generating income.
While some experts say there is no cure for this ailment, these children have chosen to be happy despite all the odds, to become the best they want to be.
Wow. It gives you opportunity.
Inyulua Popola, TVC News, Lagos.
Now let's talk about inclusion for people living with Down syndrome. Consultant pediatrician Professor John Okini joins us live from Malaysia. Professor Okini, what people do not know, they kind of fear. What do you consider the basic things everyone needs to know about individuals living with Down syndrome?
Good evening. Individuals living with Down syndrome do not have a disease. They are individuals born with an extra chromosome. They are human beings, but because of the extra chromosome, they have some challenges. And these challenges can be addressed with love and compassion and understanding, and they can certainly live a fulfilling and fruitful life. So that is the most important thing I would wish to say as an opener to your question.
Absolutely. Let's talk about how parents should raise them. There are some who would want to isolate them from other children, or who would want to take them to specialized schools. What do you advise to be the way forward in this regard?
The way forward is education and more education and more education. It's not to see children who have disabilities as subhuman or subpar. They are human beings with challenges, and parents should be educated. General populace should be educated. In some parts of the world, what people do is when babies are incoming in pregnancies, they do fetal scans, and when they feel these persons, incoming fetuses, have challenges, they stop the pregnancies. Even this is being challenged in modern world now. Allow people live and have their life and live the best they can live, and give everybody compassion and love. If a parent does that to every child, and we stop comparing one child with the other, it will start with that at home. As a community, yes, the truth must be said. Children with Down syndrome have some disabilities. They have mental subnormality. Learning may be a challenge, and therefore, being in specialized schools, I have no problems with that. In fact, that would be ideal. If everybody has similar problems, then seemingly everybody there will be normal. So nobody will feel stigmatized and things like that. And this will allow every child to be able to reach the maximum of their God-given potential. So that would be a good idea, and government should look into that too.
How accessible is care and treatment for individuals living with Down syndrome, and how do you think government can help?
This is a challenge. This is a big challenge. Healthcare generally is dwindling with numbers of professionals, medical doctors, nurses, counselors, and all that you need, a very holistic picture. Everything is dwindling in this country with a difficult social environment. Let's just put it mildly like that. Security, pay, and the rest of it. So it's getting less and less accessible for persons, not just with Down syndrome, everybody to access medical care and all these other social structures. But that still said, we still have tertiary institutions nationwide, government and private places where persons can get to seek help, where information is available. Those who have access to the internet, you can check. For example, this is an annual event that happens every 21st of March. It started 2011, where information is available. And if a parent has a child with Down syndrome, I first tell them, I don't have Down syndrome and I don't have children with Down syndrome. I may not understand it as much as you, but I am willing and available to go the road with you. I will provide you information. You also provide me information and we work it out together. So these persons also check on the net. Where I trained in the UK, we had peer groups and support groups where parents came together. It's been challenging. I've had a dream of putting parents together like this, but there's just little that one person or two can do. We
Absolutely.
need government to support this kind of activity as well, to fund it.
It's a good place to leave it now. We look forward to more of government involvement in this. Consultant pediatrician Professor John Okeneye, thank you for talking to us tonight.
Thank you very much and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Lagos women in management, business and public service say they would encourage more girls to take part in politics, and this move is to enable them break the bias that are evident in the political space. This submission was made at the International Women's Day celebration held in Lagos. Abiola Sholanke reports.
Last week, there was a global day celebrated to commemorate the cultural, political and socio-economic achievements of women. The guests were thrilled with different performances from storytelling, entertainment, music, dance and spoken word.
I was promised greener pasture.
The executive director of the group emphasized the group's commitment to promoting gender equality. She highlights the areas Wimbies has kept to its promises in this regard.
For over 20 years, Wimbies has been at it. This is our 21st year. The major challenges we wanted to solve is getting women on the decision-making table. There are so many challenges in business, but leadership, business leadership was very important to us. And as Wimbies, through our founders, our executive council, our associates, and our management team, we have been able to help to build the capacity of women in through mentoring, through inspirational programs, through advocacy, and through networking to raise their profile.
Stop looking at people through unfair lenses and stop prejudging people on the basis of their gender or any other category. The value that a person brings to the table should really be considered purely on merit.
Participants at the event stressed the need for women to understand the power of working together.
I think that there's a whole mindset shift that needs to happen in our media, in the government, because of regulatory policies, in our businesses, even as individuals. From just watching the way we think and we reason, even the way we comment on social media, you can see that there's a huge bias.
Believe you can do it. Don't downplay the fact that there'll be challenges, because there will be challenges, but believe that there is something on the inside of you that our world needs. That idea, that vision is not just to make money, it's not just so you can have a name for yourself, but it's really a solution that you were given to birth and bring into our world.
It is believed that the change the world needs in breaking the bias starts with women. Abiola Sholanke, TVC News, Lagos.
Logistics operators in Lagos have embarked on a protest against inhumane practices meted on them, which they believe is destroying their source of livelihood. The logistics operators are questioning the rationale behind the many levies they pay, many of which are not recognized by law. Correspondent Theophilus Elamar tracked their protest, which they took to the seat of power in Lagos.
These logistics operators converge here to embark on a peaceful protest against the activities of some government agencies. The demonstration, which started in Ikeja and moved to the Lagos State House of Assembly, is organized to drive home the point that some government policies are causing them pain. In August last year, the Lagos State House of Assembly called for a stop in the illegal activities of hoodlums who extort operators. But it seems this fell on deaf ears and no action was taken to implement the Assembly's directive.
We are operating in Lagos, we collect papers for Zamfara. We collect papers for Kebbi. We are operating in Lagos, we collect papers for Zamfara. We collect papers for Kebbi. We collect papers for Ibadan, for Osun, for Benin Kebbi, for Ekiti. Right here in Lagos. They will tell you they cannot explain. How are we supposed to know? The people that claim to actually be our regulators, NIPOS, will tell you they don't know anything about it. Now you have come to say you want to be our regulators and also want to be a player in the same system.
I have 3 bikes, and the truth is that you're paying good salaries to riders, and at the end of the day you spend so much, you don't have anything. At the end of the day, at 1 month is coming to an end, you're already afraid.
I have colleagues in Ogun State who want dispatch. I have colleagues in Oyo State who have with dispatch. They don't have up to 10 papers for some of them. Now a local government boy, a tout, we have the guts to beat a rider up. How does that work?
In just less than a week, NIPOS and MOT has introduced a new rider's card, and everything is serving for just one purpose. So I don't know why a rider should have 4 different cards for just one purpose. It's too much.
While they waited, a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly representing the Assembly expressed shock at the continued extortion amongst other vices. He pledged the government's commitment to ending this illegal action.
If you want peace in the state, truly, this is not the way to get or to bring the peace to that stage. So I'm begging you, and I'm imploring you that what you came here for today, believe it, you will see the answer before the week runs to an end.
They are calling on government to intervene quickly because, according to them, it is affecting the business in no small measure, but in huge measure, putting more Nigerian youths in the unemployment market. Theophilus Elamar, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, let's talk politics now. The contest to occupy the seat of the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress is still entwined with uncertainties. So far, there are about 10 aspirants jostling for a position that has been microzoned to the north-central region of the country. TVC News senior reporter Femi Akonde had an exclusive interview with Senator Mohammed Sani Musa for his reaction to the purported endorsement.
You cannot deny Mr. President of having preference on anyone. Mr. President can have preference on any one of us. But that does not foreclose the possibility of Mr. President agreeing to certain statutes that will make, because they might be superior to his own aspiration as to liking one person. You can't deny it. But all of us that are contesting this election are being loved and liked by Mr. President. We are all obedient servants of Mr. President. We are all die-hard followers of Mr. President. When people are saying somebody has been endorsed, how can we foreclose that? Mr. President is the leader of the party. If the Mr. President invites all of us and sat with us, we are all his children.
Femi Akonde joins me live now from Abuja. Well, APC is saying all is well within its rank ahead the 26th March day, but we all saw what happened after the Niger State governor took over some weeks ago, particularly comments from some state governors. What more are you learning about preparations ahead its national convention within the APC?
Well, if any preparations are ongoing, the APC needs peace now more than ever before, because that is very important to get all interests together ensure that all political interests within the party align ahead of the national convention. We have seen the chairman of the Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Governor Mai Malabuni, resume office today after he returned from his medical trip abroad. He resumed office today, and we have seen a sign that this whole convention planning committee are working together to ensure the success of the election. That crisis appears to have been put behind them, because words coming from the presidency, and indeed the president's body language, like many people would like to interpret, is that convention date is sacrosanct, and the party must do everything within its power and means to ensure that that convention happens, because that is what will give the party legitimacy and would also ensure that the party gets a strong footing ahead of the 2023 general election. All of this could also be seen as an attempt to paper over the cracks, because the party cannot afford another division at the moment. What appears to be tearing the party apart is that purported endorsement of some candidates by President Muhammadu Buhari. But the presidency has been silent on this. The president has not come out to say if indeed he has preference for any particular candidate. And the president's silence in this case cannot be interpreted to mean consent. We do not know if indeed the president has truly endorsed these candidates, but the other aspirants are just they are not letting out. They are insisting that they will remain in the race until they directly hear from the president. What is being bandied around are just mere insinuations, and of course in politics all of these things happen. It could be insinuations by certain political interests to ensure that their candidate is put in pole position ahead of the national convention. But the president's statement or the president's word will go a long way to douse all of this, but the presidency is yet to react. One thing is sure, the 26th, Saturday, the 26th of March, that convention will hold. We have seen the governor of Kano State, who is in charge of the protocols subcommittee, visiting Governor Mai Malabuni, assuring him and giving him updates of plans by his own subcommittee. Other subcommittees have also started work. They have rolled up their sleeves and work is ongoing. The security committee have gone to Eagle Square, the venue of the convention, to inspect. They are beginning to cross their T's and dot their I's, and everyone hopes that on Saturday the APC will have a smooth and successful convention. Nifemi.
Femi, we're looking forward to more on your exclusive interview with Senator Sani Musa, and keep us posted with updates on this matter. Femi Akonde live for us in Abuja. We'll take a break now and return with business news. Stay with us.
In business, the federal government has incurred 950 billion naira new domestic borrowing between January 2022 and March 11, 2022. Well, that's according to the Debt Management Office. Director General of the DMO, Mrs. Peshendu Niha, made this known, where she explained that the new borrowing includes funding for multilateral and bilateral sources, the international capital market, and the $3.35 billion special drawing rights allocated to the International Monetary Fund to the CBN. She noted that the federal government still plans to borrow an additional 1.6 trillion naira, while the 2022 debt target for domestic borrowing is 2.57 trillion naira. In total, the federal government plans to add 6.3 trillion naira new debts to the current debt stock, which will push the country's total debt to 45.86 trillion naira by December 2022. The value of manufactured goods trade deficit has grown to 27.3 trillion naira. That's in 2 years. Well, that's according to latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics. The NBS in its foreign trade in goods statistics for the 4 quarters of 2020 and 2021 disclosed that manufactured imports rose from 12.71 trillion in 2020 to 16.73 trillion in 2021. While exports rose from 960.7 billion naira in 2020 to 1.15 trillion naira in 2021. However, cumulative imports for both years under review total 29.4 trillion naira, making up 93.3% of foreign manufactured trade, as exports for both years total 2.1 trillion naira, making up 6.69% of the same trade. The report also shows that used vehicles, motorcycles, and machines for reception, conversion, and transmission or regeneration of voice images drove imports in the year under review. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development have called on stakeholders and financial institutions to channel more investments into the country's mining sector in order to realize Nigeria's non-oil economic potentials and bolster the nation's export capacity. Speaking at the Mining and Solid Minerals Conference put together by the Mining and Solid Mineral Groups of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Lagos, with theme Solid Minerals, the Foreign Exchange Game Changer, Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Mr. Olamileko Adigbite, explains that the mining sector has been neglected in the conversation regarding the need to reduce Nigeria's dependence on oil and gas. He, however, commended the Central Bank of Nigeria for its interventions in key sectors of the economy, which has produced results, and advised that such actions are replicated in the mining industry.
For the sector and for the welcome.
We need to bring more formal companies into the sector. And when we're able to attract this number of people into the sector, it will reduce the incidence of artisanal and small scale. We can't take them off totally. I always say artisanals and small scale miners, they are fulfilling a purpose. Because without what they're doing, most of them will be involving criminality. So that is why, as a policy, government is not criminalizing them. But we need to rein their activity, bring them under control of structured companies, which is what the few companies are doing in Nigeria now.
Under our mandate, the SCCI will continue to support the effort of the government in implementing the market-oriented reform and also promote enterprise in sector to continue to innovate, increase productivity, give the liberalization of the African market through the operationalization of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
We are gathered here today to set a new tone for rapid development of Nigeria's mining sector, which is populated by artisanal and small-scale miners whom we cannot wish away. And so we have come with innovative ways of ensuring the government wins in terms of plugging leakages, the companies win in terms of growth, and the entire Nigerian employment space benefits from job creation.
Port traders are accusing shipping companies and terminal operators of frustrating businesses at the nation's ports. They allege that service providers are exploiting the system and escalating cost of doing business. Ifunaya Eze has the report.
Port traders have been consistent in their complaints of exploitation and excessive charges from service providers in the ports. The issues often highlighted include the depletion of container deposit refunds, undue debts on equipment detention, absence of holding bays for empty containers, among other inefficient practices that tend to hike the cost of doing business in the ports.
It will take you like 5 days to drop container in their designated holding bays. Getting there, you find out the forklift machines are not working and they are billing you. At the end of the day, they will tell you that you are owing them. You have example like you see people that they are owing over 20 to 20 million naira. At the end of that day, that 20 million naira will turn to be zero. So how can a country move, a country progress in this kind of a situation? When somebody is owing you money at the end of the day, you don't turn out to be the debtor.
Shipping company will delay you out of frivolity for demurrage to accumulate, because they've killed business in Nigeria. Investors don't come again. That is the problem I've seen. So there's nothing. If you pay container deposit, you are in trouble. If you want empty vehicle to enter with empty container, you are in case. Whatever you want to do is problem. Extortion, corruption.
They want government to scrutinize the activities of shipping companies and other service providers, especially as it concerns cargo handling equipment, noting that inefficient operation is fueling costs. They maintain that as it stands now, the final consumer eventually bears the burden.
You come to some places, they don't have operational machines, operational crane to do their work and all that. Even our indigenous companies here also, most of them don't have issues of equipment. At the end of the day, then we keep billing the customer, the importer, which the masses, because what we don't know about whatever is happening in port industry is like it's spread like wildfire. These things get back to the end users.
Port regulatory agencies have also been tasked on the importance of ensuring that port traders get value from service providers. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, share prices at the stock market have continued to drop following sustained negative activities, Effiong Ekop reports.
The BS continued to hold down trading activities at the stock market, leaving various investment baskets with losses. The low trade patterns followed intense profit-taking by investors as incentives for stock picks seemed to dry up in market sectors. It was motor company RT Briscoe that took the heaviest loss of 10%, followed by Beja Paint in the manufacturing sector. Other big losers included Ikeja Hotels, Champion Breweries, and USC Property Development Company. The negative conditions brought down the market index by 0.09%, stressing losses on investments. On the opposite windows were trade gainers, which included Guinness, Livestock Feed, and many insurance firms. The volume of shares traded stayed average at 213 million units, worth 2.67 billion naira. Effiong Ekop, TVC News, Lagos.
And wrapping up now, oil prices international market jumped $3 today with Brent above $110 a barrel as European Union nations consider joining the United States in a Russian oil embargo. While a weekend attack on Saudi oil facilities caused jitters, U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude is starting the week strong with price surge of 4.1% to hit $109 per barrel. Brent sells at $111.90, registering an upward price margin of 3.72%. Bonnie Light's performance is also in the green territory with a price increase of 0.24% to sell at $109.20 per barrel. But for the OPEC basket, crude dealers offer $105 with recording an uptick of 0.87%.